It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Carolina Hurricanes public relations intern, Owen Anderson. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you today, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in working in professional sports?
Yeah. Working for the Carolina Hurricanes has been such a blast. I always grew up as a Hurricanes fan, as a massive Hurricanes fan. Um, just really wanted to get into sports. I knew I've been able, had the privilege to talk to some people that worked in sports and just always knew that it was something that I wanted to get into, and not necessarily work in such a business environment, but in the sports world would be perfect for me.
What was that experience like going to NC State and studying public relation?
Yeah, so I'd be graduating in this May of 2024. It's been a great experience. I've had a lot of amazing teachers and a lot of great classmates, and just the opportunity to go to NC State, my dream school, for something that I love, has been a dream come true and an absolute great experience.
What have been some of the things that you've learned at NC State in public relations to help you to work with the Carolina Hurricanes?
Yeah, learning to write press releases, how to work with the media, and just really becoming a professional has been some of the biggest things. Learning how to really live in the real world and kind of grow up and mature in your professional life, and just learning how to operate in the business world and in an office setting.
What was that feeling like for you when you got that job with the Carolina Hurricanes to be a public relations member?
It was kind of a pinch me moment, honestly. Just being able to do what I want to do and do it with an organization like the Hurricanes, that you grew up idolizing these people and these players, and all of a sudden you're just working around them constantly. It's honestly every night and day in the office is a pinch me moment for me.
What have been some of your biggest roles and responsibilities as a public relations?
Um, so we have a lot of various duties throughout the week, but for me, some of the bigger ones are we have to set up the media, like the press box. Um, so I'll do that before games. I also run kind of the media workroom, make sure that everybody has what they need. Um, After the game, I'll record the visiting head coach his press availability, which is a lot of fun. Just being able to be up and close with a lot of different people, and um, yeah, handing out stats during the intermissions. We possibly run stats either to the locker room or up at the press box. So that's been some of my main responsibilities here.
What has that been like, obviously, getting to work with the Carolina Hurricanes and getting to set up the media room?
Um, it's been a lot of fun getting to know some of the reporters and the writers and a lot of TV people. I've made a lot of great connections with other PR professionals from the other teams. Has been a great opportunity to meet and pick people's brains. Um, yeah, getting to just to talk to people has probably been the biggest thing. Getting to learn from them and make great connections and memories.
What does a typical home game look like for you as a public relations?
Okay, so I will get there at about Uh, so my day in the office is Fridays. So if we have a home game on a Friday or a Saturday, I will get there at 8 a.m. in the morning. I will make sure that our daily news clips go out to our specific people that we send them out to, which is our PR staff, our management, our owners, and our coaching staff. Make sure those daily clips go out, and then make sure that all of our credentials are ready for the night. After that, I will go upstairs and set up the press box and make sure that everything is nice and neat, and all like the room sliders are set up so that people know where they're supposed to sit and the TV crews know where they're supposed to set up. After that, I'll go watch morning skate, and we'll go in the locker room and make sure that all the media gets what they need from players. We'll make sure that they get Coach Rod Moore's press conference. And then after that, I get a little bit of a break. I'll go home about noon. And then I'll go back at 4 p.m. to set up the media meal. And all we have to do is just make sure that the people that need to pay, and like all the people from the NHL or the Hurricanes or the visiting team, they get checked in for the media meal. And then about 6:40, we'll go upstairs to the press box and we'll hand out these things that we call line sheets, which share with the media like our lineup for the night and the visiting team's lineup for the night, and provide stats on those players as well. And we hand those out to all of the media, including the TV broadcast booth and the radio broadcast booths. Then during the game, we honestly just get to watch, which is nice. And then during the intermission, we'll hand out game notes that are written and printed by my boss, Mike Brown. And then we'll also hand out stats, which are created by provided by the NHL. And we'll half of us will take those down to the locker rooms, and then half of us will run those out upstairs in the press box. And then after the game, I will go down with about 5 to 8 minutes left in the third period, and I'll go stand in the visitors' tunnel. I'll get to watch the end of the game from there. After that, I will go watch the end of the game, wait for the media to be allowed into the locker room. And then I will record the visiting head coach's press availability after that. And then once we're done with that, we'll head back upstairs to our office and we will transcribe our head coach Rod Moore's press availability, and we'll transcribe the visiting head coach's press availability, and then we'll take those down to the media workroom where the writers are writing their stories, and we'll hand those out to them because our media likes to stay in for Coach Rod Moore's press conference. So those quotes from the visiting team are essential for them to get their stories done.
Of course, how has it been like?
And then once we get those handed out, we're good to go. You head home for the night.
How has it been like working alongside Mike Brown, the public relations?
Yeah, Mike Brown is a great guy. Brownie is kind of he's our boss. He's our like main go-to person that we ask questions. He's like our head person, so that's been a lot of fun working for him. He's a great guy and really easy to work with, and gives us a lot of fun stuff to do, and really trusts us with a lot. So it's been really great working for him, and it's provided great experience for moving on to maybe other professional sports jobs.
What is that process like for members of the media to get interviews with head coaches like Brendan Moore?
Yeah, so generally Rod doesn't usually do a lot of one-on-ones during the season, just because it's a busy schedule and there's a lot of moving pieces, and we got games like every other night and practices. So with Rod, it'll be if we have a practice that day, he'll usually meet with the media about 15 to 20 minutes after practice ends, just for a few minutes. And once everyone gets their questions in and they're done, Rod's good to go. Most of the time, it really just isn't much. It's just really talking about the lineup for the day or who's starting in goal that night. If we don't have practice that day, he'll meet with the media about 2.5 hours before the game. Usually just the same stuff, real quick, talking about lineups, whether or not a certain player is coming back from injury or starting goalie. Really not much with Rod. That's about it for Rod. He also does a daily game day radio interview with Adam Gold, which is really quick. It's not much, but it's about the same.
Of course, for members of the media looking to get interviews with players such as Sebastian Oha, Jordan Stahl, and Andrew Svichikov, what does that process look like?
Yes. So for players, we will same thing for Rod, after practices or after games, the locker room, the NHL and the NHLPA have a collective bargaining agreement that states that there's certain rules for how many times players have to meet with the media or how many times the locker room has to be open. And after practice or after a game, the locker room has to be open approximately, I think it's 5 to 10 minutes after the end of practice or at the end of a game. When it comes to meeting with those players, you'll set up something if you have a one-on-one interview that you want to set up with a player like on camera. You'll have to go through one of the employees with the Hurricanes, usually Brownie, and you'll set up with him. You'll set up an interview, and then he will go. You'll send him an email requesting, and then if he thinks it's okay, like if you're a reputable site and good, or like a good newspaper, a good YouTube channel or something, um, he can do that. He can go to on like a player and be like, "Hey, this place wants to interview you," like a sit down one on one. And then if the player says yes, then Brownie will set it up. But if he says no, then he doesn't have to do it. But there are certain things that you have to do as a player, like if the media wants to meet with you after a game or after a practice, you are generally supposed to do it. A lot of times things where um, there's times when players don't want to meet, which is understandable if they have like a really bad game. Something happens to them in the game where they don't really want to talk about it. But usually they're pretty open to talking to the media and meeting with them after a game or practice.
How are you able to balance obviously being a member of public relations and life outside of hockey?
Yeah, so it's pretty easy for me since I'm just an intern. And I know my bosses travel a lot with the team, but for me, I'm only in home games and I'm there a couple times a week, so it's pretty easy to balance both of those things for me.
What is that like, obviously being a Carolina Hurricanes fan and also being a member of public relations for the Carolina Hurricanes?
Yeah, it's definitely like I said earlier, it's kind of that pinch me moment where it's like, oh my goodness, I'm at the Hurricanes game every night and I'm up in the press box and I'm getting to meet all these people that I had never thought I'd get to meet and um, get to work with them and just pick their brains and talk to them. And it's been it's been a crazy experience. And it is hard sometimes when, we score a big goal and you have to remain like super calm and you can't really celebrate upstairs or celebrate obviously in the visitors tunnel that the home team scored. So it's definitely a hard thing to control, but as I've gone on here the past about 40, 45 games, it's been easier and it's definitely been a learning experience. So yeah, but it is kind of hard to draw that line between fandom and working for the team.
What has that been like, obviously getting to work with those visiting teams, like when Nashville Predators come to PNC Arena?
Yeah, so the visiting teams are usually really nice and everyone's so professional, and I really haven't met anyone that is rude or not willing to talk to you. So it's been really nice to be able to pick people's brains and make connections with visiting teams and um, getting to interact even with like general managers and stuff like that has been an amazing experience. I got to have a good conversation with Kyle Dubas from the Pittsburgh Penguins, which was a really amazing experience and was an awesome thing to be a part of. Just getting to talk to everyone from the visiting teams has been great.
Of course, what has it been like, obviously writing those recaps and those post game recaps for the members of the media and also for the coaches?
Yeah, so like I said, we transcribe the interviews of the coaches for the media, and then we don't really get to write recaps so much for the Hurricanes. My boss, one of our PR employees, David Piper, he writes a lot of the like game notes and stuff for pre and post game. Brownie does the intermission game notes, but sometimes they'll ask us to help out, or like maybe they need like a good catchphrase or something for a game note, which has been cool. Um, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting to work with those people and helping out with those things.
What are some of your favorite memories and moments covering the Carolina Hurricanes?
Um, I would say working for the Hurricanes, some of my favorite moments. There's been a lot of them. Um, Getting to interact with some of the opposing teams has been some of my favorite things. Getting to interact with a lot of the writers, like NHL.com writer Kurt Dusterberg has been a great person to conversate with and a great help with growing in this career. And yeah, just like getting to go in the locker room after practice has probably been the coolest thing though.
Of course, what would you tell your younger self now, look back on your career so far, being a member of public relations for the Carolina Hurricanes?
I would say just stick with it, keep working hard, don't give up, because the experience on the other side is well well worth all the work now.
What are some of the things that you've learned so far in working in professional sports as a public relations?
I would say just like learning the atmosphere, learning like when a player should be allowed to interview, when a player should not be allowed to interview, and just kind of like the background stuff they don't really see, like making credentials and deciding who gets credentialed and who doesn't get credentialed. Um, like seeing like more like the background, the back work, the work, the busy work that you don't really see when you know like, because it's more than just saying, "Oh, here's Sebastian Aho for this press conference," and now it's like there's a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes.
Of course, what are some of your future plans in your career moving forward?
I would love to stay in sports. Uh, I have applied for a lot of jobs the past few months, but obviously staying with the Hurricanes would be an amazing experience and would be the dream, right? But um, there's a lot of jobs out there, and there's a lot of teams out there looking for PR professionals, and um, just building relationships and with other PR teams and other sports teams, and broadening my horizons. And um, yeah, I have a lot of things that I'd like to do in my life, and PR isn't going to be always the whole thing that I want to do. So I'm going to enjoy it now and try to stick on with an NHL team possibly, or some sort of sports franchise. But I'm open to pretty much anything these days. So yeah,
Of course, what advice would you give those people that are looking to work in professional sports?
yeah, I would say don't ever give up, because I it's all about connections really. Um, so if you can keep building those connections and not giving up on connections, it's huge. And I'm not talking just like connecting with people on LinkedIn. I'm talking about actually building relationships with people. And honestly, just you can never hurt to send an email to someone. Like that's how I got my interview for the internship. Was I had a project due for a class, and the project was to interview a PR professional, and I got to interview Mike Brown for that project. I just cold emailed him and asked him if he would be willing to interview for the project, and um, interviewed for that project, and uh, came back in August for an internship interview and got it. So it was um, there's a lot of things out there that are not advertised. Um, so if you can build relationships and find relationships, um, you you'll be able to find a lot of things. Like for example, like I've been working for NC State women's basketball, which plays right behind me in Reynolds Coliseum. Um, and I just happened to message the person that runs the PR department for NC State women's basketball, and I've been lucky enough to work a few games for them, and that's been a great opportunity. So I really say is build relationships, know, try to find those connections, and really just stick with it.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Carolina Hurricanes at?
Yeah, so you can follow the Hurricanes at Carolina Hurricane, or actually I think it's at Canes now on X, and at Canes PR on X, which is both of our accounts. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Owen P. Anderson. I guess I should say X, at Owen P. Anderson on X.
Thank you again, Owen Anderson, for your interview, and best luck in your future with the Carolina Hurricanes as a public relations intern.
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
You can
You have
find
a good one.
You too. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon. You can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Owen Anderson, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you so much.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.